Hi, I'm Mariah.
I'm Steven.
And I'm Beth. We'd like to welcome you to our home, which we call Pecan Flats Ranch. Take a look down our street. You'll see a combination of early 1900s cottage cuteness mixed with mid century no fuss ranch style homes on small, well maintained, comfortable lots. Then there's our house, slipped sideways on the edge of a .72-acre lot, backed up by an enormous 4-car garage. I bought this house in 2009 at the bottom of the real estate crash, which was probably the only time I would ever have a chance to purchase my own home. My kids and I saw that this home and yard would meet the needs of our outdoor oriented family, and it had the potential to be our little piece of paradise. In our minds, even now, we can see a rustic western mini ranch with nods to our various passions. Stephen and Mariah love trains. I love to garden. And we all love to have a relaxing, natural habitat for us, for not only us, but also for our critters, both wild and our pets, to enjoy. Our problem is, how do we get there? And what do we have to work with? That's what we're going to show you.
Hi, I'm Mariah, and this is our deck.
Okay, take a look at our unstable, narrow deck. It's roofed with fiberglass panels that sag from the weight of water during the rainy season, which also drips below on us. The birds love it. We don't. That's probably why we use the space more for storage than for relaxing. The chickens have claimed it as their hangout, which means we need to watch our step carefully. Okay, so the current deck structure is positioned perfectly to block access to the crawl space, and it also hides a drainage problem. Notice that the slope runs toward the house rather than away, and that's an issue you're going to see a lot on our property. Stephen's shovel skills have provided a temporary fix, as his skills do for many things around here. The wisteria vines covering the deck are awesome in the springtime, and the lights on the top are a friendly beacon when we arrive home at the end of busy days. In fact, even our neighbors notice it and talk to us about how friendly it makes our house look. But the oak overshadows the space, and it drops this gooey stuff that ruins the deck and kills all but the toughest vegetation, such as the thistles that are dropped by the birds. So there's a huge amount of unused space back here that we would love to recover. So now let's take a look at the bottom of the deck. You're going to see some asphalt that's been chipped at by a 12-year-old Stephen with a lot of energy and partially filled in by his mother with an odd assortment of bricks and stepping stones that we found as remnants of the former foundation all around the property to the old houses that were there previously. A retaining wall is built of landscape bricks and a lot of rubble, and it still allows water to rush down onto the pavement and toward the garage. This creates kind of a wading pool to cross through as we go from the house to the vehicles. Now, the blank back wall of the house provides a blank slate. For what? We're not quite sure. Right now, the garbage cans are the most interesting objects around. The garage wall has become a backdrop for a hay shed and for accumulated junk from Stephen's previous building projects. So now let's step across the badly graded asphalt to the other side of the garage and take a look there. I'm still trying to figure out what possessed the previous owners to pave the spot that I think would make a great outdoor relaxing area and not pave the rest of the area that actually goes up toward the garage. But I guess that's why we have projects to keep us busy. So what you'll see here is a weed-infested, dry, almost barren landing filled with a collection of old redwood posts and clusters of vintage barbed wire. Stephen is a collector. The shaky steps lead toward a falling fence and advancing rope grass. This is definitely Stephen's territory now.
I'm Steven, and I dug the pond and the creek and built the pastures.
So let's talk about that pond and the creek and the pastures that Stephen dug for so long, and it's really actually really cool. Um, If you follow the worn path, you'll see that it continues along the seasonal creek and crosses over a bouncy bridge made of pallets with old gates that we found buried in the yard. Now, this is the downstream end of the creek, which was completely covered up when we purchased the property. So it meant that the area in back of the garage was one big marsh. And in fact, inside the garage was kind of marsh-like as well. So the creek actually passes through our property under the fence and eventually flows under one of the cottages down the road before it meets the storm drain at the road. It's really strange. But our part of it is now functioning really well and serves as a boundary for our goat pasture. So if you look past that a little bit, you'll see that there's an unfinished coop that awaits completion, and I'm hoping that that way we can keep the chickens out of my wannabe garden and our wonderful living spaces that we will have someday. So the skinny corridor between the garage and the edge of the property would be, in Mariah's eyes, the perfect spot for an archery range. So what else would we like to see with this space? A year-round outdoor space that allows for relaxing, cooking, dining, and campfiring. A pergola, maybe, that wraps around the entire ugly house. Yes, it is ugly. To provide beauty, shade, and a space for ornamental and fruit vines. How about converting the blank wall to some sort of plant art space? Maybe fruit trees or vines that are espaliered? And a gate at the back of the wall that would, at the back of the space, that would help keep the chickens where they belong and opening into the archery range. Pathways, almost like a labyrinth that wind from space to space. And a solar-powered garden railway, something that we have dreamed about for years and have a lot of the equipment, but just haven't had the time nor exactly the best idea of where to site it well. All in all, we want a space that allows us to enjoy our yard after busy days and provide shelter and sustenance for our plants and for both our wild critters and our domestic pets. So, Jason, Cameron, and the rest of the DIY crew, what do you think? Could you help us make this desperate landscape just a little bit better? I would thank you. My kids would thank you. And I think even these guys would thank you as well.